Hey, what's up guys? It's Dr. Mike again. Today we're going to be talking about why people are gaining weight and why people hold onto the weight just really quickly. All right, so let me talk about what's normal though first. The whole goal of your body is to get food here, where we're at, get food in to the cell so the cell can make ATP, energy. Okay, so that's the normal process. But what happens is that we are interacting with different types of stressors. So a stressor can come in many different forms, whether it's physical, chemical, emotional, electromagnetic. It can come in a form of even parasitic infections that not a lot of people think about. So here we have parasites. So stressors, what it does is it creates an alternative pathway, one of a difference between thriving and surviving. So when you're under a constant state of stress, you switch from a thriving mode to a survival mode. And what the body then does is it switches how you process food. Instead of food going down into the cell and creating ATP and making energy, food then goes to a different route and it goes to utilization for breaking down and raising blood sugar, which then triggers this insulin response, which is ultimately for storage. Okay, so during times of stress, your body will then create different biochemical pathways for survival. Now, this is at the expense of what we consider normal function. Okay, so there's a difference between normal function and keeping your body alive. So what your body does is it prioritizes things and it says, well, what things do I need to survive? And we need the brain to function properly. We need our lungs to be taking in oxygen and delivering oxygen. We need our heart to be functioning properly. All the rest of the stuff really doesn't need to be there. So like liver function doesn't need to be optimized. Kidney function doesn't need to be optimized. All the different stuff that outside of brain, lungs, heart, muscles, that doesn't need to be there for optimal thriving mechanism here. So everything is about survival. So what the body does is it takes all of this pathway and it converts it to another pathway. And this is what a lot of people get stuck in. They get stuck in this survival mode because of stressors. Okay, and then we have this insulin response along with cortisol. So with insulin, your body's always storing stuff. It's basically very difficult for you to burn fat for energy. You're burning mainly sugar for energy. That's why we see a lot of people with high blood sugar levels, difficulty losing body fat, and also chronic inflammation, because cortisol then tips over and is not utilized to decrease inflammation. That's why cortisol then converts into cortisone, which is an anti-inflammatory. Okay. Also, what the body does is it takes the calories that you normally intake, and then it switches how it processes it. Okay, so say for example you had a regular 2,000 calorie diet and your body utilizes 1,800 calories. And this is very simplified, guys. I'm just using this as an example here. 2,000 calories, your body utilizes 1,800 calories just to function, which is called your basal metabolic rate. And then you have a 200 calorie excess, and maybe you exercise or something like that. So you're at a zero net gain of caloric intake, so you don't have anything to store, ultimately known as fat. So in this sense, you maintain your present body weight. What happens during times of survival, when you switch from thriving to survival, the body will then look at your current caloric intake and it'll actually suppress your metabolic capacity, and your metabolic rate will start to slow down. So instead of you utilizing 1,800 calories, you then will drop to 1,000 calories. Your body says, well, I don't need all of these different organs to be functioning optimally. I only need these three, right, to be functioning properly. So I can get by with just 1,000 calories. So you're gonna have 1,000 caloric excess. So this then goes to storage, right? So now you're maintaining that same 2,000 calorie diet. You're only utilizing 1,000 because your basal metabolic rate starts to drop, and then your body has to store that excess 1,000. Okay. So now what happens to a lot of people is that they partake in extreme exercise regimens. And that's not bad, by the way, but if you look at it, everything's being caused by a stressor. Remember I said stress can come in different forms: physical, chemical, emotional, and not a lot of people understand that exercise in and of itself is a stressor. So here you are in a state of survival. You then will increase exercise, which again isn't a bad thing, but in this state, you now will drive yourself into more of a stress mode. Okay, so your body will keep going down this route. So now you will then need more calories because you're burning more calories, but your body's not burning it effectively. Okay, so you have that 1,000 of basal metabolic rate, and you have 1,000 excess, so this goes into storage. But what happens ultimately is that your body starts to crave more nutrients because you're not burning or you're not utilizing this effectively, right? The food's not coming in and going and making energy. So your body says, well, we're at a deficit here. We need to increase caloric intake. This is where food craving starts coming in. You start to eat more high caloric dense foods. So now instead of you having that 2,000 calorie intake, you jump to 2,800, right? And you now have an excess of 1,800 because your basal metabolic rate went from 1,800 down to 1,000. Now you have this excess and it grows even greater. So you can kind of see why exercise is not the main way to lose weight. This is why you see a lot of people who jump on exercise regimens that don't get the lasting results, because this biochemical pathway hasn't been fixed. There's some type of underlying stressor that needs to be addressed. Now again, I have to reiterate this. A lot of people say, well, doc, are you recommending not going on exercise regimens? That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying is you have to fix the cause of what's going on in order to make your exercise regimen useful, okay? So this is something I just wanted to drop on you guys, and so you guys can kind of think about that. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment below and we can kind of go from there. Till the next video, be well and aloha.